Hello and welcome into the Farmers Union pregame show. As always, I'm Ken Oda. Noah Grant is alongside. And Noah, it felt like too long since we got to say this. Toros coming into the weekend off of a weekend sweep.
And a very strong one at that, outscoring your opponent 10-3 on the weekend, 5-1 on Friday, 5-2 on Saturday. And I know you look at the score margins and you feel good. You know, you go back a couple of weeks against this upcoming Austin Bruins team, you win 5-0 in this building. Single games feel all right. When you can do it over consecutive contests over the course of a weekend, I think it's just so much more of a confidence boost where it's not like, okay, maybe we popped a couple early, we got off to a good start on one night, you know, we felt good for that evening. No, it was a consistent, thorough effort throughout 120 minutes of hockey on the weekend. I think it's a good building block heading into the final 15 games of the season.
Certainly, as we hit the final quarter of the season, Ian Spencer picks up Central Division Star of the Week honors for his performance last weekend, getting that quote-unquote fourth line going. Yeah. We've talked about the Toros having depth with three lines. With that fourth line going now as well, I don't know how this team can be stopped.
Yeah, how about that? 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points on the weekend. And also, not to be outdone, his line mate, Colby Bear, if you're talking about fourth line guys, 3 points on the weekend, along with Jack O'Hannison and Joel Lettinen last weekend. So, I mean, we've talked about it as well, and you know, let's not forget a guy like Jack Gardner, who is not a big point producer, but someone who, especially for a winger, often acts as that third man high, able to chip pucks off the glass, set up those guys to kind of grind on the forecheck. And with Ian Spencer and his speed, he's able to establish that right away. So yeah, I think there's a guy we've been highlighting for a month and a half, and you start to see him get rewarded. But as you mentioned, yeah, we already had 3 really good lines, so a fourth, not too shabby.
No, Austin coming in this weekend, though, they present a different challenge. You know, November, they were tied for first with the Toros. They've fallen off, but now a 3-game heater for them as well. You know, North Iowa was the opponent last weekend, so you expect probably 2 wins for Austin, but they come in and, you know, they've snuck back in. They've now jumped St. Cloud thanks to the Toros sweeping the Norsemen and them getting the sweep last weekend.
Yeah, and they're one of the few teams that has been really good at shot suppression against the Toros. When they played really well against Minot, they've held them to under 30 shots, and they've also held them closer to 20 or 25 in some instances as well. So you talk about the success. Now on the flip side, the Toros. 13 Toros with a point across the 10 total goals last weekend. If you continue to get that kind of production, that's something that alleviates that. Is, you know, that the scoring doesn't, you know, you go back to last year, Chase LaPinta, Hunter Longy, the scoring had to go through them. If you were going to have success, it had to go through them at some point throughout a game or throughout a weekend. This year, when you have 13 different Toros tallying points, you know you can get production up and down the lineup, so that alleviates the pressure of one line, one power play unit feeling like they've got to contribute.
And from an opponent standpoint, who do you focus on shutting down, right? If you want to send out your best defensive group against the O'Hannison, Lettinen, Kettinen line, well, okay, the other 3 lines are probably going to put up points, right? So it's just, you know, having that depth, as you mentioned, as we head down the stretch, will be huge. Let's take a look at the updated Central Division standings after the sweeps last weekend. Toros still in first place, magic number down to 8.5, either Toro wins or Austin/St. Cloud losses. Bismarck still in second place, just 6 points back. Aberdeen, 14 points back. Toros closing in not just on clinching a playoff spot, but clinching home ice in the first round as well. Austin and St. Cloud tied at 49 points. Right now, Austin has the tiebreaker with overall wins.
Yeah, 18 points back for both of those clubs from the top dog, which is the Minot Minotauros. So you talk about the Toros being able to, one, keep those 2 in kind of a fist fight for that final spot as well if you're a Bruins fan coming in. But also, I think for Minot, we've talked about it, Bismarck's been playing really well recently. I mean, you go back to the holiday break, it was a 13-point spread. Now that has dipped in half because of how good Bismarck has been playing. They're 9-0-1 in their last 10. Again, if you're the Toros, you want to be in that top spot. You want to provide yourself a little bit of separation while also doing damage to maybe your future opponent in the first round.
For sure. Let's take a look at a potential first-round matchup. Right now, the Noodles numbers. The Toros continue the best goals for in the division, best goals against in the division. Austin, though, not too shabby. 2.84 goals is not per game is not terrible. 2.86 against. Not ideal to be outscored on the season, but at that point, it's really just a 1-goal differential, -1 for them on the season. Toros power play now falls just outside of the top 10, that penalty kill, which Andrew Lennox did a great job highlighting on MinotaurosHockey.com. You know, second in the league, and I think that's probably going to be one of the keys for this weekend as well.
Yeah, you know what the interesting flip side to that as well too is this is the first time the Toros have moved out of first place in the Central Division. I think it's Lone Star now that has that by .01 or something like that. But how about the fact the Toros, special teams wise on the power play, they've now given up after the last weekend. They've given up the most shorthanded goals against
in the division.
In the division with 6. So, you talk about the power play being somewhat middling, but at the same time, PK has bolstered you. Normally when you have a team that the PK is doing well, the power play at least can supplement a little bit, but you got to be careful where the Toros' strength has been defensively, which is not something you say for a team that, by the way, plus 59 goal differential on the season. That'll do any year. On the flip side, the Austin Bruins 6th in the league, 21.4%, a very good power play.
And that power play has done well against the Toros specifically, 7 for 33, just over 20% as well against the Toros. So that Toros top-ranked penalty kill definitely a key to this weekend. Yeah,
if you're bored. Ken writes the preview notes for the weekend. Go Toros, MinoTorosHockey.com. Always good to kind of catch up on those things. I did to prepare for this show, so I would highly recommend. And also, how about getting that power play rolling in the right direction again against a PK, 80.7% for Austin, just sitting inside the top 20 at 19.
That'll bring us to our Minotoros Booster Club players to watch. I'll kick this off. It's family weekend. We have 20 of the 23 Toros have families in town this weekend. And I'm going with Weston Knox just because of all the players, he's got the most family here, 11 family members for Knoxy in the house tonight. So I'm looking for him to go off and have a big game with a big crowd rooting for him.
Yeah, I wonder how many of them still do or have played hockey before too. I mean, if you're Cody Campbell, I mean, that's a couple lines. It's almost a full forward group. I mean, 11 is certainly an exciting number. And on the other side, how about his defensive partner, Adam Mahler? That's my guy to watch. He had a point last weekend, paced all skaters at +5 across both the games. And I know plus minus is kind of a flawed stat, but I think it just speaks to the testament of really he is a shutdown defenseman. But when you have D-men who most of them along the weekend were +1, +2, +3, to be able to add that caveat and be so staunch defensively, I don't think he gets enough love for how much he's able to block shots. He eats pucks on the penalty kill, and to see him get rewarded with a very good plus-minus statistic, sometimes that double-edged stat can still speak volumes about a guy defensively.
For sure. I mean, Kobe Volk gets a lot of the press because of his 13 goals on the season. Weston Knox, being a captain, gets a lot of attention, but Adam Mahler, quietly now for his second season, has been a stalwart on the back end for Cody Campbell and a player that Cody's depended on in huge situations pretty much since Adam got here.
Yeah, now I guess the question mark being the fact that him and Weston Knox have been together for so long, does Adam Mahler technically also have 11 people that are family in attendance, given how close Weston Knox and he have been? Obviously, they're almost inseparable, and hopefully a good ride to the finish here.
That'll bring us to our home key group keys to the game. And Noah, I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, first one is punch. Bring that similar effort where the Toros have stacked 4 or more goals in 5 of their last 7 hockey games. One of those games, in fact, they actually lost against St. Cloud. But again, bringing that goal total up at some point, it evens out in the aggregate. When you're scoring 3, 4, 5 goals a game, I don't know any coach in the world that wouldn't take that statistic. So bringing that punch early, continuing the success from last weekend.
And my home key group key to the game is put on a show. As I mentioned, it's family weekend. 65 total family members in the building, again, representing 20 of the 23 players on the roster. So you've got the extra family in the building, a little extra motivation, especially this time of year where, we mentioned there's only 15 games left in the regular season. It starts to be the dog days of the season. Hopefully having those 65 family members plus another 2,000 Toro fans in the building get back to putting on a show and having a good Friday night after we figured it out last weekend.
Yeah, hopefully high scoring, as we mentioned earlier. Combo pick, can you tell I wrote this one as well too? Counterpunch. By the way, the Toros have given up 3 or less goals in 5 of their last 8. So on the other side, if you can hold a team to ideally under 3 goals, but 3 or less, certainly with the offensive production, will give the Toros a good chance tonight.
That'll bring us to our Forebears Casino and Lodge over-unders fans. If you haven't already, download the Toros Hockey mobile app from the Android App Store, Apple Play Store. I think I flipped those, but either way, download the Toros Hockey mobile app. You can win a stay and play package from our friends at Forebears Casino and Lodge. Noah, I'll let you get your guesses in. Toros total goals, 3.5.
Well, as some very poorly versed hockey pundit would say, they've had 4 or more in 5 of their last 7, so why don't we go with the over?
Toros total shots on goal, 30.5.
Oh boy, this is a tough one. Again, we've talked about it just because of how good Austin has been lately. I'm going to say the Toros hit the over on the goal mark, but they are under on shots on goal. Shot efficiency is going to be the key tonight.
And lastly, it's the Austin Bruins, which begs the question, Toro power plays 3.5.
Also a tough one. I'm going to go with the under again, just because of the fact that I think that Austin's going to bring a little bit more disciplined game. As long as it stays close between these two clubs, I think the priority is going to be Austin needs these points badly in the standings.
That'll bring us to the McDonald's Toros trivia question, another game you can play in the Toros Hockey mobile app under the interactive tab. Who is the Toros' all-time leading scorer against the Austin Bruins? Johnny Walker, Trevor Stahowiak, Nick Armstrong-Kincaid, or Jaden Martin?
I'm going to go off the board from what I normally do. I feel like it's Trevor Stahowiak just by number of games played, the amount of opportunities, but I honestly have no idea.
Well, you can get your guess in as well in the Toros Hockey mobile app and win a free lunch from our friends at Dakota Drive McDonald's. That will do it for the Farmers Union pregame show. We're going to turn you over to Josh Carlock for tonight's starting lineups.